again, privilege of the floor. We received our minutes from December and January. Is there any additions and/or corrections? Can entertain a motion to accept them?
I'll make the motion to accept as presented.
Second? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Thank you. Treasurer's report,
Okay, so we are.
page 10.
Yep. I actually have one, I probably shouldn't have made a motion because I was not at the special meeting. I'm sorry if that needs to be corrected. I wasn't at one of the two meetings to accept the
Okay.
minutes, if it's important. It got passed anyway. Sorry.
I don't think,
I don't think it matters.
Okay, I'm just letting you know that I wasn't here. Page 10 still, sorry. Again, we kind of have December, January, so I'll kind of skip through December. We're on page 10, balance sheet, looking at cash, we're down about 17,000, receivables, we're up about 80,000. So again, money coming in, good thing. Our unrestricted funds are down collectively about $88,000 in total. The other ones didn't change a heck of a lot. Within total, the total long-term liabilities dropped about 45,000, and the fund balance dropped about 47,000. And again, the total is about close to 100,000. Total liabilities are close to 100,000 total, lower than prior month. The income statement on page 11. Really not going to spend a lot of time on this because we'll skip to the January one when we get there. The page 12, same thing. I'm not going to spend much time with it because it'll get corrected on when we go through the January statement. The balance sheet, page 13, very similar to what we talked about. All of the assets and liabilities are actually all in a decreasing, all dropping from prior months. I guess it's good to drop liabilities, not good to drop assets, as we understand. Skipping forward through to the loan page on 21. Again, this will get discussed when we move to the January statement, but the revolving loan fund, to point out, we have about $12,000 past due if we don't take into account Carthage Specialty Papers out of almost a $1.7 million receivable. So that's actually a pretty low percentage of past due funds. We add back in Carthage Specialty Paper, it goes up to 44,000. Again, not a huge red flag. Clearly, good choices made by the board, good commitments from the customers. We got a few bumps in the road. The micro enterprise loan fund, same thing. We have about 5,000 past due out of 181,000. Again, an extremely small percentage. Lyle's been working hard with the two folks that owe us $5,000, and we know the micro enterprise loans are very high risk when we loan them, so $5,000 is really a very relieving number. That's all past due. Going through to page 22, the balance sheet for January, we could spend a little bit more time on this, but again, cash, we're down about 21,000 in the cash funds, and we're up 495,000 in the AR funds. So we have some big things coming in. Most of it are in the pilot monies and the miscellaneous, which is the Fort Drum Mountain Community Home, I think, was dumped into the miscellaneous category, if I'm not mistaken. What do we call it, RCI?
Yeah, that's the
Too many acronyms.
Yeah.
So those are, that's money's coming in, so our total assets have gone up 471,000, very good. Our total liabilities have outpaced that, unfortunately, and they've gone up 530. Assets have gone up 510. Total liabilities and capital are up about 50,000 from the prior month. So all in all, everything's keeping pace, more monies are coming in, and we seem to have our liabilities under control with the operating expenses that we can go through on page 23, through to the end of the package. Mentioned in the current month, one of the big changes was RCI fund coming in about $280,000. So if you take that away, we actually only raised about $1,600,000 in revenue last month. So just taking away that abnormality, 16,000 is a little bit lower than the prior months, and what that's going to do is we have to clearly step that up. We're about 30% below budget. We will end up about 30% below budget. Boy, I can't even read my own handwriting, I apologize. I scribble notes. Moving down to the operational expenses, we seem to be on target if we can keep our expenses to about 75,000 a month. It may not be achievable. So we may actually exceed budget by spending more than we take in at current pace. Page 24. It's really just another snapshot of where we are. From the previous sheet, the RCI fund is, again, the abnormality from, it's not gonna show up every month. So we also, so right now, just looking at this as it is and making some projections, the loss that was budgeted was 267,000. It could actually reach 400,000. Just making some projections based on what has been normal. So we may increase that.
If I can make just one comment on there, if you look under the expenses, the FDMH fee sharing, that's the county's portion, that 140,000 went to the county.
Yeah.
That money, by the way, has come in and it has been distributed to the county, about 140,000, just shy of 140,000.
That's the RCI money?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I took that into account when I was kind of going through this. I was looking at, we're spending about X per month, and we're taking in about X per month, and knowing some of the things that you
Sure.
mentioned may or may not happen through the year. These are all just numbers on pages, and they change next month. I hate to say it that way. It's a callous way of saying it, but it's just, some good things can happen next month that make this a totally different story. So that's kind of where that is, page 25. Really just similar to where we were. Assets and liabilities have both increased. In this particular page, we're looking at, the total assets have gone up about 510,000 from the prior month. Our liabilities are also going up because of some of the things happening on the balance sheets. Skipping over to, there's really nothing on the check registries and the AR details until we get to the loan amounts. Not much changed from December. We have a couple more delinquencies. They didn't add a lot to it, but again, we have about 7,500,000 out of almost 1.7 million of receivables. If we don't count Carthage Specialty Papers, again, an extremely low percentage. 41K with Carthage Specialty Papers out of almost 1.7 in receivables. So very, not alarming. Well within what we budgeted if we had to write off any of these debts. Same thing with the micro enterprise loan fund. That went from 5,100 to about 6,500 again because there was another month of delinquency with both of the delinquent accounts. 6,500 is not a very high percentage of the 180 that's out there for loans. Nothing to report on the city's loan fund or the pilot that was at the top.
So the Metro pilot payment, did come in?
It
Your
did come
pilot?
in.
Good.
Because it's off. It's off from December.
Where are we at with Carthage Specialty then?
Not good.
We have a meeting with the bank scheduled for next month to see if we can get some information.
I'll be honest with you, I'm not optimistic about this.
Foreclosed?
No, they're still under an agreement to accept interest only, and we were forced to accept that.
Yeah, through a subordination agreement that we signed with Key Bank. I believe there's some other problems, however, and,
We're spending a fair amount of time working with them, trying to resolve some issues they have, not only with the bank, but with the village of West Carthage and other issues, so.
But it's not, it's, the outlook is even dimmer now. I mean, they were looking at reconsolidating maybe a merger or buying, right? There's nothing on the table.
Carthage, I don't believe so. Well, my outlook is always going like this, that's the nature of it, but, that's.
We spoke
we're hopeful.
as late as last week with Pat Purdy, and without going into great details, because it's really not public discussion, but they're working in an environment where small specialty paper companies are having difficulty based on foreign competition and God knows whatever else they're facing. So they're making some steps to try to resolve some of those issues, and I hope they're going to be able to do that. We're trying to help them in every possible way we can think of, because it represents 80 jobs and significant investment in West Carthage if anything should happen, so.
Lyle, since the report was issued, did the Buckley payment come in? Because it's probably been net 30 since due 12/31.
We received a payment January 12th,
Okay, so that's,
and we'll probably get another one. He's going to be one or two behind, I think, until the end of this loan.
Okay.
But that's just the way he pays things.
okay. But there's not a risk of the payments not being made in full, it's just how the timing
Timing,
of them
yeah,
coming in?
yeah.
Okay. That's what I recall.
You have to know the guy to begin with.
I don't.
That's the way he operates.
I don't.
Yeah.
You're probably better.
You probably do.
But I'll tell you, on the micro enterprise fund, the Vic Brothers,
Mhm.
we sent a demand letter back in June of last year. We've been trying to work with the owner and the corporate.
Outback,
We're getting absolutely
Outback
no
Burgers.
place.
Way back.
So
Chase way back.
we sent a final demand letter this month.
Mhm.
It's supposed to be due and payable by the 10th of this month.
Okay,
I am not at all optimistic
Vic
about that.
Brothers.
okay.
I believe we're gonna end up writing it off.
They've made no attempt to even pay a portion of it,
No, they
interest,
haven't.
principal, nothing, not even like, here's $100,
No.
okay.
No, so we've had a lot of promises, but no action.
And I get, it's the same with Taste of Design?
Taste of
They're just-
Design, I spoke with Genevieve last week. She's taken a job in Rochester, she's a designer. She has an apartment in Cape Vincent that she's trying to rent because she has moved to Rochester. If she rents that, we might get some money. That was the way it was presented.
So that's not a write-off yet?
Give me another month, and it probably will be, yeah.
Taste of Design is.
We have some deep pockets guaranteeing that one.
she was,
Okay, so we
went-
kinda have no
Was she the
hope
one in
on
Clayton,
Vic
or-
Brothers, we have hope on Taste of
Vincent?
Design.
Correct.
That's your
That's right.
opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, in the Vic Brothers case, even if this goes south and it's a complete write-off, which probably will be by the looks of things, are they protected from having that follow them with their credit history, or will this come back? Will there at least be some recourse back to their personal credit, resulting from defaulting on this? Are they protected so it won't show up?
No,
So it's gonna follow them?
we have personal guarantees, so.
Okay, and
As a matter of fact, on Vic Brothers, we have, I believe it's a first position mortgage on some rental property that he owns. But it's my understanding the rental property probably isn't worth what he owes on the loan.
20,000?
It's possible, it's not worth that, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, see, this is a participation loan. North Country Alliance is sort of driving the car on this one. Same with Route, well, in fact, The first three in the RLF, their participation loans with North Country Alliance, so they're setting the pace on this. And I'm in close contact with them, so we're discussing it.
Just as a follow-up, because Paul asked a question, Taste of Design, she was the one in Cape Vincent, correct?
Yes, that's correct, yeah.
She had the,
Was married to, Mike,
Travesty.
Chavez, yeah, who incidentally is a guarantor on the loan, even though they're divorced.
So there'll be recourse on that one, do you think, for
Yes.
settlement? You're not worried about the final settlement?
No, I believe that we'll get our money out of this one.
That word is probably not the right one.
Ah.
There may be
More
concerns.
I think they're going to be.
That was the total,
No.
yeah, I think that was the total loan. And then when you go here.
But the outstanding
The
balance.
outstanding part
So,
of that.
no,
This
this
is
is the one in,
That's
So
what's
that's
past due.
past due.
Cape
So,
Vincent.
Lyle, I'm just trying, with Bick Brothers, their total loan
He's still got
now is,
Albury's
what they
still, right?
owe is $20,000.
does he still have all?
And there's no interest on the part of their parent
Mike.
corporation that's taken over operations
Well,
on re-amortizing that, or?
Well, they haven't even suggested that. The parent corporation has taken over the operation in the mall.
Right.
They brought them current on the rent they were behind there. They've helped them with the taxes that they were behind on. There's been no interest on the part of the parent to do anything on these loans or on the Watertown Savings Bank loans. They're behind with them too.
Okay.
So that, they've done a certain amount, but so far, they haven't. Now, if we turn this over for collection, maybe we'll get some action out of the parent, I don't know.
Sure. I'm just looking at the Taste of Design's got a larger amount that they owe, but their monthly payment is a third.
Yeah.
What's the term on this Bick loan? And, you know, why can't we get them to the table to negotiate the term, or?
Well, we have tried, believe me. Matt Sliver contacts Joe Vick, who is the owner, on a weekly basis. And we've worked out some payment plans, but they don't do it.
Right.
You know?
And NCA is the one who would actually initiate the
Okay.
action,
Yeah.
if there was gonna be action initiated.
And in my discussion with Matt, that's going to happen if it isn't met by February 10th, I think the date is.
Whatever they recover, if anything, we share in our percentage.
Okay.
Other question on the RCI monies, all of that was a direct result of the abatement from the sales tax.
Yes.
As part of the CDA, the originally executed agreement in 2005.
It was all sales tax. No,
Well, right.
Yeah.
Sales,
That's-
sales.
abatement, I call
That's
it.
the relief that they got, was the sales tax.
And frankly, we can anticipate these types of things over the course of the 50-year agreement. So this will not be the first that some of you may experience, maybe the first, but there may be others coming. Typically every 5 years, they're gonna start reassessing what needs to be upgraded. Exactly. And by the way, although I only mentioned Anderson and Mike Hawthorne for visits, we're also going to be visiting Fort Drum Mountain Community Homes, so that you can see firsthand what it is that is going on, and perhaps judge better in terms of what reaction we have when we're asked to do things. So sometime in the summer, when the weather is better, because a lot of it is outdoor activity, we'll go out. I've already mentioned it as well.
Say we do that, can we do it twofold, get over to the re-energy plant as well, the steam plant? Or
Absolutely.
the energy
That's-
cogen plant?
Sure, we're in touch with Larry all the time, so, yes, absolutely.
Any other questions on the treasurer's report? Entertain a motion to accept.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried? Unfinished business, Don?
Just one follow-up, because it's been discussed so many times here at the board, is we're still trying to close in on a date for the completion, the closing for the rail company. That this may surface in your mind this morning because apparently they received a fairly substantial grant to help do some work at Newton Falls. I haven't seen this, so somebody just mentioned it, whispered in my ear a little while ago. But we should be closing on that in the near future. I think.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for their counsel to get back to me. He's got all my documents. So hopefully.
John Herbrand, I think, is acting as their counsel. He's a partner in the company as well. But I think we've gotten through some rocky road over the last 5+ years working on this particular issue. It's been a thorn in every, but I think we're going to be able to hold on here. So just working hard on it.
Okay.
I got one that might fit under here, more of a reminder, there's a public UTEP hearing, February 7th, 7
Yeah.
PM, right? Here in this
7
building?
I think it's
10 a.m. I thought.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought it said 7 PM in my,
Oh,
the
no,
thing I
it,
got.
would
I was
be
wondering
10
why you're
10
doing it
o'clock.
at night. Okay.
No, it's 10 o'clock.
Maybe I made the 7 PM up, I didn't wanna be home for dinner, I guess.
We've had, just for your information, thus far, we've had little reaction to it. We have had a couple of suggestions from the city with respect to how discussion. We have talked with some people, see what kind of reaction we have at the public hearing.
Tuesday, the 7th at 10 AM.
It's at 10 o'clock. I don't have a phone here with me, so I'm not sure about the schedule.
I don't
think
know why
that's
I have
correct.
7 PM.
We'll send out a reminder to
Okay.
everybody so you have that.
I must have saw the 7th and thought it was 7 PM.
Joe, do we execute pilot mortgages when we do a UTEP, when we do tax abatement or a pilot?
No, we don't put a mortgage on.
Okay, I've been to several seminars in my previous employment, and that's one of the big things they talk about now is pilot mortgage, because unpaid pilots do not become a lien on the property, and the taxing jurisdictions, if there's a failure, there's no way to recoup those monies. And even with a mortgage, you may not get it, but it may put you in a position where the bank, you could force the bank to pick it up. So that would be my one comment is, should we leave in there the ability, should we deem it necessary based upon the size of the pilot to require a pilot mortgage to protect the taxing jurisdiction should a project fail? Just a thought.
Yeah, we can look at it.
We've never done it, but that's not a bad thought, because we will, there will be some coming up that will be substantial in size. Whether we can prove them or not is another issue, but I think that's good.
Paul, would a pilot mortgage be subject to a mortgage tax?
No.
Okay, good.
Not
Good.
under our-
Just protects. the
I'm in
town.
favor. If so, I would.
Protects all the taxes.
Even I would want to see that tax abated.
You know, any mortgage we issue to the IDA is exempt, so.
Good. I think it's a good idea.
I had, the letters that went out, I had an inquiry from the school board, local school board, in relation to the bridge authority. Because the advice they got was it would relate to the UTEP provisions, would relate to the taxing structure in the bridge authority. How is there a crossover there?
Bridge authority's exempt.
Yeah,
From
that's
all,
a,
there is no.
They're an
there's no-
exempt entity.
So there is no tax revenue.
They do make pilot payments to the local jurisdictions under an agreement.
The only
entered into.
payments that the IDA makes is, the Bridge Authority used to lease spots on their property to
Right.
custom brokers, and those were separately assessed, and they paid all taxes. But while the IDA is not even exempt from fire and special district
Right.
taxes, the Bridge Authority is exempt from all taxes, including special district. But there was an arrangement made back when the Bridge Authority took over Bolt Castle and those properties where they make some sort of payment to the towns
And the school district, I
and the
think.
school districts. And I think they're paying what it would have paid back in 1980. So it's not a lot of money, but they do make payments. that they're not required to by law, so.
It brings to mind, by the way, I was informed the other day about the size of the project, the Bridge Authority and so on are undertaking to improve the crossing is so. At first heard, it's, I'm told, over $150 million worth of construction.
Does that include the customs, moving the
Yeah.
customs?
Yeah.
It's,
The Canadian-
they've literally moved a mountain.
Yeah,
Right?
how
Every
many
time I
years
drive
it's
through there, it's like
Canadian,
amazing.
On the Canadian
Yeah.
side, we start apparently in the fall, maybe over at this side, and the project, I thought it was 40 to 50 million, it's 3 times that.
Well, both border crossings are on the Canadian side anyway, technically.
Well, from a
From a
geographic.
from a geographical standpoint, it's,
Yeah.
they're all in Canada.
That's an expensive wall.
Yeah, but it's only 300 meters wide.
This is
not
all
very-
the new toll booths and,
Customers.
Yeah, it's amazing.
The
There's-
point is, it's going to enhance the ability to cross at our location on, the 81 401 connection, as opposed to Buffalo or.
They're doing a
some other-
lot to make transit truckers go across more quickly, almost like the speed pass type thing. Where
Exactly.
there's a bridge near Buffalo, not the Peace Bridge. One of the bridges is actually, you have to have a special pass to go across, and I think they're trying to do something similar. It's not open to the general public.
Yeah.
You can't just pay a toll and go across it and cross customs there. You have to have a special pass, and it's meant for transit trucking, to move across quite quickly. I forget the name of the
Well, I
bridge.
think
It's
that's-
one of the 3 bridges.
I think that's what they're trying to do here with speed, but the point is that even though this agency has nothing specific to do with that, it will enhance a lot of economic activity in that area, and we already know of 2 projects which will be undertaken because of that activity, that will accrue benefit to us, so, it's substantial.
I just wanted to add to that, it's a multi-phase, 2-phase, 5-year project of $185 million currently. I'm not quite sure when they're gonna start, but probably in the fall. And you also have the $20 million project going at Fort Drum that's currently out for proposal, bidding stage. And
Well, the highway project,
I'm sorry?
the highway bridge project, you mean, or?
The first project is the port of entry project.
No, but you said the one for.
I think it's the
The one at Fort Drum is the NCO project,
Oh, that one.
but they're still actively pushing for the missile shield. And who knows, you might have a president that will push this.
Hopefully
But
we
there's
get to the
a
top of the
tremendous
list.
amount of construction going in Jefferson County, St. Lawrence County, Oswego County. There's a lot of, right? And you were talking earlier about bringing people into the trades. We get 100 applications a month throughout our area. I mean, I was in Messina the other day, I had 15 applications in 3 hours. So if we can bolster their mathematics skills and their willingness to show up at work,
Yeah.
which is key, willingness to show up at work, they might make a living, you know.
That's the other big complaint.
Wait a minute, that's an awful request.
I know, that's
Yeah.
terrible of the millenniums, I guess, but, you know, it's kind of part of the job.
It's a skill they learn with a low minimum wage job. Because if you don't show up, you get a high minimum wage. As an employer, you're going to hire somebody who knows how to show up. You're not going to pay $15 an hour for some 17-year-old kid who's not going to show up on time. So,
And hopefully you can find one at 15.
Yeah, it's getting more difficult.
Okay.
Got one more quick question on finished business.
Sure.
What's the timetable for the Apex pilot? Been presented, they've paid their fee. Is it with the taxing entities? When does it start coming to this board to start having probably more than one discussion?
We are having some quiet discussions at the moment with the project developer and some of the taxing jurisdictions. But the issue is we really can't move forward very far until Article 10 finishes its process, because it could stonewall that completely by a rule.
Well, they haven't actually submitted their Article 10 application. They haven't taken that next step. So are we waiting on the pilot for them to take their next step? They've gone through step one, the public involvement process, and submitted, they're near the end of that phase. And then they actually have to spend real money to put intervenor funds and apply for Article 10,
Correct.
which then the state actually gives, they go through a public need.
We're waiting on that.
That was actually one of my questions.
We really don't know how long that process takes because.
And they don't either.
Yeah, they're learning out,
Nobody has any
they're learning in Western New York.
Exactly.
It's not, they always say 62 days and it's 162
Well,
days.
We're discovering that the more public opposition, the actual board is giving more credence to the local opposition than we first thought, so.
Okay. So we're in a bit of a holding pattern, not worth having discussion until it becomes a
No,
project.
and as we move it forward, of course, I'll bring it to the board, try to
Okay.
keep everybody up to speed as to what's going on.
I just noticed they paid their money to actually have the pilot brought to the board. I didn't want to,
Yep, no, you're absolutely right, but, as you know, we can't take any action at all until we officially receive an application and the $2,500 entry fee. Then at least we can begin some quiet discussions
Okay.
with whoever is going to be impacted by all of this.
understood.
So they made a payment for an application for funding or just?
No,
just the
here,
application fee.
they submitted their pilot application and the application fee,
Right.
but they don't have a job yet, a project yet, according to New York State
Specifically-
Public Commission,
Right.
because they have to determine public needs, so they didn't start like the actual Article 10 process, which, as Joe said, could be 3 days or 300 days. I mean, it's a crapshoot.
I can tell you,
It won't be 3 days, but.
there is one other project in the state that is a little farther in the pathway than Glue, and they're running into more and more, I don't wanna say impediments.
That's the one in Western New York,
Yeah.
like, that's Apex's as well.
Yeah,
And
And
then-
that's the furthest along in the process. And
Correct.
The siting board, as I said, to the surprise of many, is giving more deference to the comments from the local people in opposition than anybody thought.
The PSC chair just resigned, didn't she? Who's the PSC?
I try not to follow state politics. I try to keep my blood pressure low.
When you look at the list, there's like 5 people that are appointed by the governor, and one of them is, I think, the chair of the PSC, and I think she just left state
It may be,
employment.
and I know there's a bigger, like, seeing, LIPA, New York State just commissioned that offshore wind project. So I think there's a drive to take away the terrestrial opposition and put it somewhere far across the horizon and still meet the needs of renewable. Taking a major front seat in Cuomo's
I like
administration
that
now.
terrestrial.
Well, yeah.
Oh, but I would say, knowing that, I would say get ready, because there's developers, in town, trying to put together two entities, putting together solar farms, signing leases,
Mhm.
scouting the countryside. You've got an open doorway to a transmission line
Mhm.
that can take one project of say maybe
Maybe proportion.
50
Mhm.
megawatts. So, the bushes are getting shaken out there on 2 potential projects.
Yeah, I'm seeing some of that
It's
too.
gonna be 150 acres of solar panels,
Definitely
and
seeing
it's
some.
kind of a race, whether it's gonna be the wind project or the alternative solar projects to get connected to that line.
Now, then you also have that new project, Mad River, across the 2 counties, very close to the existing transmission lines from Maple Ridge, which need to repower.
There are.
There's all sorts of stuff going
Things I
on.
can't even
Yeah.
mention publicly.
I stay in
but
touch
yeah,
with the
those are
energy
things
market.
that- We have a number, the agency is looking at a number of the community-based projects. We're not interested in plugging it on the grid. We're interested in generating energy that can be used within the communities to lessen their
We
effective
have many
costs.
eggs in
So-
our basket.
Yeah, exactly, and one of those would be associated with the development going on at Deer Park, so we're pushing hard with that, we have a lot of political endorsement already for that. Should be a very effective program.
One thing I'll share with people in the room, and we've been trying to get a handle around it, even through the wind projects, is the degree of profitability to sustain, build and sustain a wind farm, you know, what kind of returns do they need to make that whole thing move through the process? With solar, I'm pretty confident from conversations other people have had, working with these two companies, that they can readily sell investment opportunities out of Wall Street. It's driving at, and they're falling in at 10 and 11% return for investment portfolios to drive the wind farm or the solar farm issue. So you put the tax credit issues, all those out on the table. When Wall Street can throw money behind these projects and accurately predict the 10, 11, maybe 12% return, money flows that way real quick, in a confident way, versus a 3 or 4% from the market. So it's driving it. There's profitability there that's driving it, and it's sucking money from Wall Street. It's going to happen.
Well, we discover how complicated this question becomes, because a lot of it has to do with the price of natural gas. I mean, because that's the competing energy source right now. So when you look at what a decatherm costs if you're using natural gas as opposed to wind or solar or biomass or whatever, you know, there isn't the margins that they're thinking 5 and 10 years down the road, that this natural gas glut at the moment will either be shipped offshore for better return or won't have a level that it's currently, you know, out there. So there's a lot of investment maneuvering going on behind the scenes, which is why the incentives provided by the feds are very important. But even those, you know, they're telling me they're 24% of what the subsidies are for natural gas and coal, for coal and some of the other oil industries. And that is to say biomass is only 24% at this level. So that is subject to change as well. So a lot of it has a political overtone to it. All we can do is present, at the end of the day, these projects that come to us and say, does this make any sense to us as a community? If it does, then we ought to look at it. If it doesn't, then it'll probably never get to this board. So we'll see.
Good. So we have our meeting cancellation policy. We're going to mirror whatever we did in the LDC. Leave it at that. And unfortunately, we received a letter from Jeremiah. Congratulations on your new job.
Thanks.
You know, good luck with that and everything.
Congrats.
Go
And
statewide.
Region 6.
I guess I would ask for a motion and a second to accept his resignation.
I'll make a motion to accept his resignation.
Do we have a second?
Can I second?
You know.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks. Well, it's been good having you here.
I tell you, it's been good being on the board. And, you know, I think that economic development, and I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir, is very misunderstood. And you read things or see the news reports about, you know, debt, the bad debt, or we're writing off this, or we're giving loans for that. And, you know, money that comes out of the revolving loan fund or the micro enterprise fund, that's what it's there for. I mean, those are the high-risk loans. And when you talk about the dollar amounts compared to the projects that we're putting together with Euro market and, you know, actual economic development, it's so small. But it's vital to the entrepreneurship in the North Country. So it's been very eye-opening. It's been very enlightening. I've learned a lot. I enjoyed it. And I think that all of our legislators should have to do 2 years on this board. I really do.
It's a sentence.
One at a time.
With that being said, do you know if there's been someone from your board?
I don't know. Scott knows.
Okay.
I sent him a copy of my resignation letter, so he
Okay.
should be. He's only got so many people to choose from.
Sure. And I'm going to ask our board here, because I'm not going to be here the first 2 weeks in March. That leaves only, and I don't know if anyone else might be missing the March meeting. You can have the meeting without me, you know, and hope that you get the 4 of you here. or I've spoke to Don about it, that we could put it off until the third Thursday of the month. That gives the county, because we would meet before the county meets too, that gives the county an extra time, so that if they're going to appoint another person in March, that person would be able to make our
Jeremiah, you
meeting.
have a meeting next Tuesday?
Yeah, we do.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's a name put out next Tuesday.
Who's the deputy chair? Because Don DeMaio used to be.
We have not been able to get
So-
nominating committee together yet to
All right.
nominate a
So there's not
deputy
another
chair.
surprise for anyone.
Not yet.
Did you miss a meeting and meeting?
Well, no, I got nominated to something apparently because I wasn't
Twice.
at a meeting.
We got him
Hey,
twice.
the guy that's not here, let him do that.
It's tricky to try to keep this operation rolling when quorums are questionable, so we're hoping to get some quick reaction here pretty soon. And by the way, I should point out that Jeremiah and this agency will continue our relationship as with his DEC responsibilities, I am sure, since we spent a good deal of time over there in the state office building, we'll continue to run across them and
Now,
appreciate it.
Jeremiah, with your new job with the state, does that allow you to stay on the board of legislators?
It does. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. They were concerned about being on this board and the planning board in town of Adams, where there might be some conflicts, but more than anything, it's the time. I don't want to start a new job and then have to say, well, you know, I got a meeting on Tuesday or Thursday, I'll be in whenever.
Sure.
So,
DEC or highway or
yeah,
all?
DEC is a real estate specialist.
Well, good for you.
At least he's not the bat specialist. So
So-
what is the plan for March? I mean,
That's what I'm asking them.
what do you think?
What,
Well, how many, let's see, IDA is gonna be the one most affected with the quorum.
yeah.
So if Dave's not here, Jeremiah's not. So we got Ed, John, me, and Paul.
Is there,
That would be a quorum. If none of us miss. You have any plans in early March? Right now, I know I don't, so I can commit that I will be here.
well, is the March meeting going to be the meeting that we can finalize the UTAP
What's that
Is
current
that
applications to?
showing up on the agenda for this?
I doubt it, frankly. I'm not sure.
I would-
But it certainly affects current applications.
I would say not, because if we're going to finalize the UTEP, we probably may have, some public come, so I would
I'd
say,
push it to April, just so you know you have a more
Yeah.
full
Yeah,
board.
there's no rush to complete the process, and I think it's important to allow everyone to, give us some input.
I mean, we want time to review whatever public comments
Yeah.
there were too. There might be some smarter people out there than us, well, I'm sure there are, but there might be some good comments that come in.
Yeah, and if the comments require some change in how the wording is structured or whatever, you wanna have those incorporated and then, have Joe look at it and get back to us.
So 3 would not be a quorum, right? We need 4.
What about the notion of no March board meeting jumping April's board meeting to current applications?
Can you do March as a committee field trip to current, so you don't have to reschedule things with George, or do you want the whole board to try to
I
participate?
really wanted, it's up to you. I mean,
Yeah.
we're doing, I've been down there 100 times, but it's really for those people who have not had a chance to see what George has done there. And frankly, we've been, I think, a fair contributor to that, his success, and it just helps, I think, to understand, when we say yes to a particular loan program or incentive, how does that result in impacts of the community? But that said, I mean, this is for you guys, if you wanted to, and I don't know yet where we are on the March meeting insofar as agenda, there are a couple things pending, but those could be forestalled, I guess. So if you wanted to simply postpone or eliminate the March meeting until April, I'll rearrange the thing with George and, kind of go from there. It's, we do this, at your convenience, so.
Well, we certainly would have an appointee sitting on the board by April. versus March.
Yes.
Aren't we already one short anyway?
Yeah.
Michelle,
No,
we're two short.
Two,
No,
now we're two.
well, I
two
mean,
board members.
now we're two
Yeah.
short.
Yeah.
We were one short before Jeremiah.
That's right.
So I mean,
We're gonna need two
we're
for
still
the
looking
IDA.
for whoever that second appointee was.
And it's important that they, whoever it is, get on board ASAP, because we do have a lot of projects that are in the pipeline. I say a lot, we have some that a full range of discussion about those projects, I think, would be enormously helpful for. And to have our complete cast of characters assigned would be.
Plus your hopefully two new board members that have
So-
already taken their governance training and all that stuff.
If you checked with George and pushed our meeting down there until April, that would give, and then you can still go ahead and schedule a March meeting if something happens.
Worst comes to worst.
Worst comes to worst, then,
Yeah.
you know, you won't have a quorum, you just
Sounds like you
cancel
could
it.
have four.
Yeah.
John didn't really answer if you
I
would.
got one thing that's hanging out there I gotta confirm is all on Thursday.
My busy schedule, I'll change it for you guys.
Thanks,
No,
Paul.
seriously, I have no plans in March, so I'll be available, whatever you choose to do, whether you move it a week or two, I'll change it, it's not a problem. It's a lot easier for me than all you guys, so you make your decision and I'll conform to that.
Well, at the moment, Dave, I don't see any reason to necessarily schedule the March meeting. We could, I'll simply have George, and I'm sure he's accommodating, to move it to the April session, and if, you know, worst comes to worst, we blow up, and we call a convene a meeting or something.
Now, the one thing about moving it to April is you're gonna have April and May back to back, so you don't have a meeting back in this boardroom. Cause you already said air break was committed to May.
Here again, I'm sure Mike, you
They're
know,
next
is
door, so-
flexible, and yeah, it's, you know, yeah, they're very, most of these people are very accommodating, and I haven't specifically said a date yet for Fort Prom. So, we're still, I think.
It's still recording, so it's
flexible.
okay.
Change,
Well, we'll leave it at that.
Like cheese would be a fun one to do, I've never been over there sometime if they
Look
do
at
that.
so I'd love.
Only if you put out free cheese.
We don't have
You
any
won't
down
see
there.
me the
You'll get
rest
full
of the day.
participation.
Well, think about that though, Thursday is cheese curtain day, so you
Yeah.
could buy a 50-pound bag, right?
There you go. I would gladly buy it.
Suddenly, I see the agenda's changing.
No, it's the importance of.
Anything else for the board? Motion to adjourn.
I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
We stand adjourned. Thank you.
Just cheese making.
Nice work there, Jim. I'm sure.
Not that way, I'm gonna try it.
My
brother's wife,
Probably never seen it.
Never right out of JCIDA. She was working a job flipping the wheels, but they're all just
I mean, I guess.
Have you ever
Let me
been
throw
to
this out.
Grafton Cheese? That's like artist
I know.
cheese. Have you ever seen their bag?